of the High Court decision. Your take?
One of the most radical decisions ever made by the High Court since Federation. It creates a new class of people, or a third citizen, a third-class citizen, based on their race. This is divisive identity politics that has infested the High Court. But this also completely obliterates the argument that's been made by proponents of a preamble in our Constitution for Indigenous recognition, that that preamble would have no bearing on the laws interpreted under the Constitution or the rest of the Constitution. A preamble is now a radical proposition because the High Court has revealed itself to be a radical institution. But one other point to make here, Andrew, 3 of the 4 justices that ruled in the majority on this decision were appointed by a coalition government. 1 of them by the Turnbull government, 2 of them by the Abbott government. Now, this government has 2 appointments that will come up, 1 in December and 1 in March next year when 2 justices retire. This government must appoint 2 big C Conservative justices to the High Court so that a decision like this never happens again. And the view of this government, when they get 2 big C Conservatives on the court, must be to put a case up to overturn this decision.
I wish I could trust Liberal governments to do that, but alas. Rita, in fact, a couple of the judges who dissented, it was a 4-3 verdict, they said, listen, this new ruling is, very creative, as in it doesn't have any real basis in the Constitution to do it. They still did it. Daniel's point. Here comes a preamble recognising Aborigines in the Constitution. We're told, oh, no, it'll have no effect. Rubbish.
Well, the fact that it is a 4-3 split decision with the Chief Justice, who seems to be not at all happy with it, given some of the quotes she's given about this decision, just shows you how confusing, confounding this verdict or decision is. I just think we've created 2 sets of laws depending on people's ethnicity. You've created a racist law. So are we going to be running our immigration decisions by Indigenous elders? Is that how the Home Affairs
I tell you what, a lot of people will think if I run to an Aboriginal elder, touch base, I'm safe. If I just get them to agree that I'm Aboriginal, I can't be thrown out of the country.
You mentioned Linda Burney earlier, and for someone who is a proud Indigenous woman who should know the history of her people, she got up in Parliament when she was first elected to State Parliament, and she was the first Indigenous woman elected in New South Wales, and she repeated the absolutely toxic, ugly myth that Indigenous people were considered flora and fauna until 1967. She perpetuated that lie, which has been comprehensively debunked. Even the ABC did a fact check on it. So I find people who seem to go out of their way to create division and racial tension in Australia.
I don't think she goes out of the way to do it. I just think, there's a trail of wreckage accidentally behind the flowing gowns when she gets involved, or when activists get involved. Daniel, the whole thing is, here are 4 of the 7 judges, they say, they look at the Constitution, they take a radically different view to what the 3 others do, including the Chief Justice, and they say, listen, what the Constitution really means is that Aborigines have a special connection with the land, every single one of them, no matter how vague their Aboriginality is, every single one of them, that puts them beyond the reach of certain laws, right? And they say, this is in the Constitution written in 1901 or whatever it was. And you think, seriously? They detect that meaning from a Constitution. If we could by some miracle go back to the gentlemen and women who wrote that Constitution more than a century ago and said, guys, is this what you really intended? What would they say?
Well, that's a good question, Andrew, but this gets to a broader point about the postmodernist view of institutions and their creation, that if institutions, the Constitution, are created by white men, then they're there to serve purely the interests of those who created that particular institution or the Constitution or the set of laws. It's very divisive, it's very dangerous, because ultimately all Australians should be represented by Parliament, the one Parliament in the one nation, by the one Constitution, in a good faith manner by people that are appointed to the High Court, and that has not happened in this situation.
I'd like these people to theoretically look the founders of the Constitution in the eye and say, yeah, this is what you really meant.
It's the vibe, Andrew. It's the vibe.
It's the vibe.
Forget about the actual legal arguments. They've seemed to have just gone on a frolic and said, oh, the vibe.
Well, they'd be saying they're serious people, looked at the Constitution, they thought that they saw it. But whatever, I think it's just incredible. Donald Trump. Let's lighten the mood. He's just playing with the media, this bloke. He just prompts them into an outrage that makes them go absolutely crazy. They take the bait every time. For instance, he's now taken a clip from Larry David's fantastic series Curb Your Enthusiasm, that show, and tweeted, you know, tough guys are for Trump, in the clip that he showed. Now, we've bleeped out a lot of the curse words, but you'll get the message.
What are you trying to do, man? What the are you doing? God. You little I'm sorry, I didn't see you. What the I'm so sorry, to rip you out of that car. You little I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Just be more careful next time, okay? Will do.
Now, a lot of media outlets are up in arms about this, saying, you know, how could Trump be so stupid to know the clip actually mocks his supporters and his, you know, Make America Great Again hat, and he just doesn't get the joke. But the truth is, to me, that these journalists are too stupid to know how he plays them.
Absolutely, he gets it. He doesn't care because, one, it's funny, and he's got this angle that, yeah, that guy was the one who was hard done by. He was almost driven off the road, and he's the tough guy. So he knows Larry David, the character, and Larry David, the real person.
And probably knows that Larry David is a big Democrat.
He knows that. He knows that this is no mystery to him. One thing with Trump is that he's very aware of any prominent person who supports him and any prominent person who hates him. So he knows which camp Larry David's in. He knows this was in no way complimentary towards him, but he's taken it, he's having a laugh with it, and the media are so thick that they can't understand that he gets it, but he doesn't care. He still is promoting it. It's like when he publishes a meme saying he's going to be president until the year 8000. Remember that?
and they all say, oh, it's a dictator. Ministers is going to be a dictator for life. This is the thing. I did an editorial about it, I think, last week, saying Trump gets it. Yeah. That your enemies advertise you better than do your friends. Yeah. And you just get them on a sore spot where they prove to be humorless.
And Trump is funny. He's entertaining. He's got wit. And it's such a great contrast to the actual so-called comedians on late-night TV who are just completely not funny anymore. But this is why people like Trump. He is an icebreaker against political correctness.
And he puts the fun into politics. I didn't know fun was in politics, but now it is.
Well, he did. He recited the snake poem. If you're not familiar with that, I'm going to play it on Friday.
Put it on Twitter. Put it on your Twitter account. Rita Penny's Twitter account. Rita Penny, Daniel Wild, thank you so much indeed to you both for your time.